Welcome to Geek Week 7. There was no video yesterday as our Sunday Christina is unfortunately having to go into surgery. So from all the Geek Week 7 team, wish her a speedy recovery. And in the meantime, we're just going to look for someone to fill the Sunday slot. It could be you. So this is the first week of us showing off all our individual talents. And as mine's music, I thought I'd start off with something a little bit more abstract than maybe you were thinking. And I'm going to start with a question. And the question is, what is music? Now, there's many ways of defining music and most of them are wrong. The issue is mainly because that music has so many different facets. You can have a purely rhythmical piece, you could have a instrumental piece, you could have just melody, although really that's not possible. And basically, yeah, there's so many different combinations. So how can we define it? Well, I'm going to show you how. The first way we can define it is that music is rhythmic. Regardless of whether it has any percussion, it's still rhythmical. The melody still has a rhythm to it, even if it's an off rhythm, even if it's not like a certain tempo, it changes constantly, like many orchestra pieces do. It's still rhythmic. So that's one way of describing it. It's rhythmic, and then melody, or at least tone, or pitch. That's true even if you're just playing a drum kit. That each hit like poof, is still it's still two different notes. So you're still creating a melody or different pitches, even if it's just rhythmics. I guess the only example otherwise would be just one note constantly playing at different rhythms, but then that would be very boring and still would have a pitch to it. So you can't escape that really in music. If any noise has a pitch, I mean, it's just got a frequency. That's just the way like audible waves work. So you've got two things there. You've got rhythm and you've got tones, melody, whichever way you want to call it. The main thing you've got to remember though is, although you have those two, there is a secret third, which is really what makes music, in my opinion, good music. Which is expression, passion, whichever way you want to put it. It's basically the authenticity of what you're trying to get across. It's with the difference between painting and graphic design. Not to put down anything on graphic design, because sometimes it can be as good art-wise. But the main thing is it's trying to convey some kind of human emotion, or trying to explain something that you're feeling to someone else, which is kind of the point of all of art, really, isn't it? This is the point of trying to explain yourself using a different medium other than just vocalizing it through, talking. So that's really what music comes down to. It has to have the first two elements of tone and rhythm. To make it great, you really need the third. And I think that's where a lot of music falls down, is that they forget about that. They concentrate way too hard on the first two and never put any attention into the third one. And I think the main way I can put it is, you get goosebumps sometimes when you're listening to music and you're like, oh, the hairs stand on the end on your arm, and you're like, that for me, I think that's when they're hitting it. That's when you can really feel that expression from someone else. Also, you have two things. Tone is just naturally built into wave frequencies. Pythagoras figured it out and said, look, that this note reoccurs here, just a octave above it. So really you can split up the in between the octave any way you want. In Eastern music, it's all done through quarter tones. In Western music, we use semitones. But the main thing is that you've got octaves, so they exist. So you can say that music is just or melody or tone is just a natural thing. It occurs just due to the fact the way our ears work. And then also you've got rhythm, which is naturally built into you because you hear it inside your mother's womb when you're a fetus. You can hear her heartbeat, and that's the first rhythm you ever hear, and that's how we garner our rhythm. So it's natural. That's why I think music's so great, as it's something that's just innately built into all of us before we're even born. And that's the first episode. I think your lie was, pause to watch the video, the Superman meetups. I don't think that's true. I don't think the Superman meetups are true. I think there's much more chance of the Harry Potter experience thingamajig being true. But I don't think the Superman Metropolis thing is true. So that's my lie I'm calling out. And I need to let you guys know what my lie was. I have, unfortunately you guessed it wrong, I have been in education for 8 years after leaving secondary/high school. I originally went to college and studied for 3 years in IT back in 2000, which basically means that my IT qualifications are meaningless nowadays. As they're like 9 years since I passed my IT qualifications. And I spent the last 5 years studying music. 2 years at college. I went back to college. You can go back. Don't think just, because I worked 3 years after finishing my IT course, and I was like, this is gonna be life, working IT jobs. But you don't have to do it. I went back to college, thanks to at the time some quite, handy funding. I went back to college and studied music for 2 years, and then went on to university, which I never thought I'd be able to do. I really sucked at school when I was at school. I didn't study hard or anything. I thought it was cool to be apathetic. It really isn't. I thought it was, all my friends celebrated being dumb at that age, and it's just, well, not my friends, but all the cool kids that I wanted to be friends with, which in the end I'm so glad I wasn't. I went back, studied, went to university and did 3 years of music, which is kind of unnecessary unless you want to become a teacher, which I do. That's 8 years altogether, 5 and 3. And my lie was actually that I'm not graffiti-artist. I wish I was, but as sneakily mentioned somewhere else before when we've all been chatting, I don't have any kind of visual art skills, so that's my lie. I have met the Queen, so it was at a guide dog event, and she was walking around talking to all the people that were raising guide dogs, puppies, and we used to do that when I was a kid, so that's how we met the Queen. Christina, Number Wednesday, this is the kind of world you live in. So tomorrow is Christmas Day, and there's, aside from obviously the family, spending time with family, which is always lovely, there's one thing I'm really looking forward to,